Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Well, I had a great week off last week. I got caught up on a lot of things, and I greatly appreciate you coming back and joining me for this week's project. Now, this week's project is a pretty fun one and a pretty simple one. It's a modular bookshelf, and it's great for you beginning woodworkers as well as you advanced woodworkers out there. The bookshelf itself only takes 2 boards to make and a very limited amount of tools. Alright guys, when it comes to making the modular bookshelves, the construction is pretty straightforward. And the material list is quite simple. All you need is 2 8-foot boards. Now the width of those boards, that just depends on how wide you want your shelves to be. I'm going to be using 9 1/4 inch wide boards. That will allow me to make this either a bookshelf or a wine rack or a combination thereof. We're going to need 6 14-inch pieces, 6 13-inch pieces, and 1 12-inch piece. Alright, an alternate method for cutting these parts out is using a jigsaw with a straight edge. Now for my straight edge, I'm just using a simple level clamp to the board. I've got my 14-inch mark laid out, but then my straight edge is offset to account for the bed of the saw. When the bed of the saw is up against the straight edge, my blade is in line with my cut line, and I'm square all the way through, so it should assure me a nice square cut. Alright, another method for cutting these parts out is using a skill saw if that's what you have on hand. Now with the skill saw, we can use the level as a straight edge again, we can use a straight board, or we can use a factory, straight edge that's made. This one's from Craig, and this particular straight edge is set to your saw. You set it up, and then when you make that first initial cut, it's made for that particular saw in that distance of that saw's bed to the blade. Alright, with all of the parts cut for our modular bookshelf, we can go ahead and take our 13-inch pieces and set them aside because we're going to be working with the 14-inch pieces. I do have to say this, it's been a long time since I've used a handsaw, and I didn't do too bad. I stayed right on the line. So the one recommendation I can give to a new woodworker that might be using a handsaw is nice, slow, steady cuts, and you should have no problem following your line and getting a 90-degree cut out of that saw. So setting these aside, on our 14-inch long pieces, we're going to be cutting rabbets on both ends. Now these rabbets are going to be 3/4 of an inch wide, 1/4 inch deep. Alright, with one board done, let's go ahead and set up for the small router so you can see how that will work. And then I'll go ahead and knock out the rest of these and we'll get this thing together and we'll talk about the assembly. Alright, well, as you can see, with either router, both of them make a nice clean cut. Just a little different. It's a smaller router, so it might take a little bit more passes and everything to get to the final cut. But other than that, it does a great job. Alright, I went ahead and switched back over to the big router. I've got just 3 more boards to do, and I've got my jig sitting here with the appropriate key for a 1/4 inch deep cut. I'm just going to set that real quick and get busy. Alright, with all of our parts cut, routed, and sanded, it's time to assemble the individual cubes. There's going to be 3 individual cubes for this bookcase. And of course the bookcase can be expanded by just simply making more cubes, and I'll show you the final assembly in just a few minutes. It won't take long to put everything together. When it comes to the assembly, you can simply glue the cubes together and clamp them until they dry if you have enough clamps. You can use some trim nails. I'm going to use some 1.5-inch trim nails on mine. Or you can use some wood screws. 1 1/4 will be fine. Alright, once you have all 3 cubes assembled, go ahead and, if you want, set your nails. A good way, if you don't have any wood filler, is get your nail heads set a little bit, add a little bit of wood glue in there, and do some sanding with, you know, a 180 or 220 sandpaper, and get that fine sawdust in there, and it'll create its own wood filler to fill those nail holes if you'd like. Okay guys, to assemble the unit together, we're going to go ahead and take one of the cubes and place it on top of another. Now, it's going to take 4 1.25" wood screws. We're going to put 4 here, and then we'll screw this one to the side here and put 4 here, attaching these 2 pieces. On these 2, that the first 2 you screw together, you want to make sure that the side pieces with the rabbets, that they're running in the same direction to give it just, you know, so it's visually appealing. So just make sure that your rabbets are all in line. You can see the rabbet here, and this is the side piece with the rabbet in it, and this is the side piece with the rabbet in it here. That way it just kind of flows. Now this is how the unit will sit, and now we need to take our 12-inch piece that I told you about in the beginning of the video. That's going to have the 2 45s in the end. We need to get that piece cut and put our shelf in here. Now another way to make the 45-degree cut is on your table saw, with your table saw blade tilted to 45 degrees, and you can use your miter gauge. Alright guys, the 12-inch shelf fits right up here up top on the unit. You want to make sure that, you know, it slides back and forth, so you want to make sure that it's seated exactly in the right position, nice and square and level. And I'm just drilling at an angle. Go ahead now and clean up everything and get ready for a finish if you'd like. I'm just going to clear coat mine. But with the size of this unit, it's not very big. It can actually be hung on a wall, and you know, you can just get an anchor into a couple of studs and hang it on a wall. It can be set up and configured a lot of different ways, however you want to, and also you can add to it by building some more cubes. You can really get creative with the way you modulate this and put it together. Alright guys, well that wraps up this week's project. I greatly appreciate you sticking with me, and I hope you enjoyed it. Now, as you saw, you can really get creative with this by adding additional cubes and changing the layout of it. Maybe changing the orientation in which it's displayed, or even hanging it on a wall. Add some color to it and it would make a great display and shelving unit for a kid's room. Because of its simplicity, it's an excellent starter project for you beginning woodworkers, so give it a try in your shop. If you like this project, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put out a new project every week, and down in the description of this video, you can find my other social networking links. As always guys, until next week, I'll see you soon. Oh guys, don't forget, July 10th through the 23rd is our second annual Whirligig Wars event. A lot of great prizes are up for grabs, so be sure to check out this link for more information. Look forward to seeing you there. Let the battle begin.